Hi, welcome to Ladies of Another View. I'm back, and welcome to April.
Yes, that's right. It's
I'm
April
pretty
Fool's.
sure it's April Fool's Day.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, the sun's out, the weather's warm, and it's April. So what more could you ask?
Right. And my irises have started to come, so
Awesome.
life
I'll
is
have
good.
to check for mine.
Yeah.
I do have something I could have asked for, a guest.
Life happens.
We're having a little technical difficulty. Hopefully on the next segment we'll be able to get him on. Dr. Peter McCullough, who is the world's leading doctor as far as writing on the treatment of COVID. And he actually says you can treat COVID.
I was going to say, let's repeat that. We can treat COVID.
Exactly.
And he has done it successfully. He believes that 85% of the people that have died should not have. And the biggest cause is that they show up at hospitals, but before they get to the critical stage, nobody's doing anything to help them. And there are a lot of different treatments, but for some reason it's being ignored.
But even so, even when, someone is diagnosed with it, they said, well, go home, take ibuprofen and get some rest. That's all they say.
Right.
They
Just
give
like
you
for a
nothing.
cold.
Oh, you
Or
got
the flu.
I never even got ibuprofen. It was like,
Hi.
no, go home if you get sick or go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
That was it.
That's true.
That was it.
Well, guess
Crazy.
who's here? Dr. McCullough is here. I'd like to welcome him to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Hi,
Hi, good
Dr.
to hear
McCullough.
from you. Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Peter McCullough. Thank you for coming on. This was last minute. I emailed you on Tuesday. Within the hour, you called me, and we booked you for the show. So I'm
We
so
appreciate that.
appreciative.
Yes, thank you.
And
Yeah,
this
but-
guy's no slouch.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm Dr. Peter McCullough. I'm an internist and cardiologist from Dallas, Texas. And behind me is the emblem of Baylor University, the undergraduate university. That's where I attended. And I have to get in there. We've made our first appearance to the Final Four NCAA finals now for the men.
Well, congratulations.
1950, yes. So
Oh,
it's-
wow.
fantastic.
I would
Fantastic.
celebrate too then.
Yes. Yeah, congratulations. Did you play basketball?
No, I didn't. I studied. I had my head in the books. I was a pre-med student there. My son just graduated from there. He's a medical student down at the University of Texas at Houston.
All right.
Doctor, can you tell us again what is your position at Texas A&M?
Texas A&M has a Dallas campus, and I'm a professor of medicine there. I'm no longer the vice chairman of medicine, so if you can make that adjustment on the banner, thank you.
And you are the most published doctor on the topic of treating COVID. Is that correct?
Well, I'm among the most published doctors on COVID. I am the most published doctor on the connections between heart and kidney disease, and that's really my major research focus. And I stepped out of my box, if you will, to face the COVID pandemic because I saw really a great need for all academic doctors to focus their concentration on this terrible crisis.
And tell us what your approach has been. It's a terrible crisis, but you think that we could be doing more that we're not doing, right?
Well, like any medical illness, it makes a lot of sense to treat it and treat it early. So all the patients who develop COVID, in my view, ought to undergo some type of evaluation for risk, or what's called risk stratification. And so if there's really negligible risk of hospitalization and death, it's really like a head cold. So people under age 50, children, others, people without medical problems under age 50, they really don't require any treatment. Some advice about keeping up on fluids and nutraceuticals is perfectly fine. But people over age 50 or with medical problems, or those who present with severe symptoms, they have over a 1% rate of hospitalization and death. And in fact, that skyrockets as we get older. So let's say someone age 60, they could face about a 20% chance of hospitalization and a 5% chance of death. That's too high to just go home with a COVID result and kind of wait until it happens. In my view, any common sense doctor would say, listen, we need to treat that right away.
So how does that compare, say, with a bad strain of the flu? You know, what the percentages? You said, what, 6%, 5% for those over 60?
Yeah, COVID-19 is probably 10 times as deadly as the flu, something along those lines. In one of the worst flu seasons we've ever seen, we had 72,000 deaths attributed to the flu. We're at 560,000 deaths in the United States to COVID-19, and it's still rolling, right? So we still have more cases coming in. So this is far more serious than the flu. It's far more contagious than the flu. And even keep in mind with the flu, we start out right away, we use Tamiflu. We have other drugs we can use to treat the flu. And one of the reasons why people die after influenza is not due to the virus, but they die of secondary infections like staphylococcal pneumonia, which we can treat with antibiotics. COVID-19 is a completely different kettle of fish. COVID-19 has a viral replication phase. It has a cytokine storm phase where the immune system goes crazy. And then patients die of thrombosis, they die of blood clotting. So we have to treat all three elements of the illness.
And so before it gets to that point, there are certain things that I understand you can do that you actually testified to Texas legislative body. But I wonder, why is it, even early on in this pandemic, why is it that, like, I got it, right? I went in and got tested. Yep, you're positive. I got sent home with a letter that told me I needed to isolate and I would go off quarantine at 11:59 p.m. on this date. And if I felt worse, I should go to the emergency room. That was it. There was nothing recommended as far as treatment. And from everybody I've talked to around me in North Dakota, they had the same thing. And I'm understanding that's kind of the way it is all over the nation. How do you shut down an entire medical system that quickly where no doctors are willing to see patients who are COVID positive? And how does that work?
Well, it's one of the reasons why I stepped up. I started to get a sense early on that, oh my Lord, these hospitals and health systems weren't developing COVID clinics. They weren't developing protocols. To this day, we still don't have the Harvard protocol or the Mayo Clinic protocol. You kind of wonder what happened to American medicine in treating the biggest medical problem in history. And so that's one of the reasons why I stepped up. So I put together a team of American and Italian colleagues. We published the first treatment protocol for outpatients with COVID-19 in August of 2020 in the American Journal of Medicine. We have an update in Reviews in Cardiovascular Medicine in December of 2020. To this day, these are the most comprehensive outpatient treatment protocols that exist. It takes about 4 to 6 drugs to treat COVID-19 at home. These are all available drugs. They're pretty simple to use. There are 2 monoclonal antibodies that can be given by infusion by emergency rooms or urgent care centers. And fortunately, in the fall, the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons created a home treatment guide that's been used over 500,000 times in the United States. It's based on the regimens that we've put together. And now doctors have really segregated into 2 tiers. There's an upper tier of doctors who treat patients with COVID-19 via telemedicine or via clinics. And then there are doctors who really don't. And so we just ask the doctors who don't treat COVID-19, are sufficiently fearful or don't feel comfortable to just refer patients to those who do. So I testified in the Texas Senate on March 10th. At that time, we had 35 treatment centers in the state of Texas, and we've made great strides in preventing hospitalization and death.
Okay, Dr. McCullough, when we get back, I want to talk a little bit more about treatment and your advice to patients and just your advice to all of us and just how to avoid it and what to do if we get it. We'll be right back with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Beck Communications is now hiring independent sales agents around the state. We're looking for highly motivated individuals to take advantage of this opportunity, selling advertising for our news and sports programming on Beck TV and sponsorships for the Bismarck Bucks indoor football team. Independent sales agents will make 50% commission on their completed sales for all products. Beck TV is the leader in broadcasting local sports, owner of the Bismarck Bucks indoor football team, and originator of newly launched news opinion programming. Submit your application now at careers@bechtel.coop. This is an exciting opportunity you can't pass up. 50% commission for independent sales agents now hiring at Beck Communications.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Pub 21, your one stop for fun, drinks, and food. Our spacious facility provides COVID-safe fun for you and all your friends. With nightly bingo and specials, you can be sure there's something to do for everyone. If you're staying in for the night, we've got you covered just across the way with Pub 21 Liquor. We have a wide variety of options, from wine to whiskey and everything in between. Stop in today at 1014 South 12th Street in Bismarck to see what all the buzz is about. You won't be disappointed.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we are joined once again by Dr. Peter McCullough, who is a professor of medicine at Texas A&M, and he's here to tell us the good news that COVID is treatable, right?
Yes.
Well, COVID's always been a treatable problem. It really has to do with our recognition of how to approach it. And like any serious viral infection, single drugs don't work. So I think one of the mistakes that was made are any claims that one drug works, and the public has been quickly frustrated by this. You know, remdesivir works, it doesn't work. Convalescent plasma works, it doesn't work. Well, single drugs don't work. Recall that in AIDS or hepatitis C or B, we always use multiple drugs. Even in cancer, we use multiple drugs. So there is no cure for COVID-19. No single drug works, but drugs in combination do. And so in the algorithm that we originally published in the summer of 2020 and then updated in December of 2020, the approach is we do risk stratification. So patients under age 50, no medical problems, they don't need any treatment outside of nutraceuticals. Now, nutraceuticals do have probably some modest benefit. That would be vitamin D, vitamin C, quercetin. That's perfectly fine to do that, serve out the quarantine, return to work or school. Patients over age 50 with medical problems, the risks are too high to go without treatment. So we recommend, again, a nutraceutical bundle, and then patients undergo an infusion of a monoclonal antibody. One is provided by a company, Lilly. The other one is Regeneron. The Lilly antibody is no longer being distributed because the virus has become resistant to it. But we can use the Regeneron monoclonal antibody, followed by what's called intracellular anti-infectives. And in the United States, that would be the combination of hydroxychloroquine with doxycycline or azithromycin, or ivermectin plus doxycycline and erythromycin in that box. And then followed by the use of steroids. We can use inhaled steroids, inhaled budesonide or Pulmicort all the way through, that's available. And then we can use oral steroids, prednisone or dexamethasone, typically on day 5 or if there's pulmonary symptoms. And very importantly, there's a drug that's used for gout called colchicine. Colchicine in the largest and best done randomized trial in all of COVID. Actually, the best clinical trial is called COL-Corona. 4,100 patients, double-blind, placebo-controlled randomized trial. Reduced hospitalizations by 25%, reduced mortality by 50%. So colchicine is really essential for outpatients with COVID-19. And then finally, everybody should take aspirin 325 milligrams a day. And patients with heart or lung disease or any risks for additional blood clotting ought to go on injectable Lovenox or oral anticoagulant therapies. This is what we call sequence multi-drug therapy. It takes about 4 to 6 drugs. The shortest duration that we can treat patients is 5 days. Typical adult, say age 60, would take about 10 days of treatment. And then seniors in a nursing home could take up to 30 days. But this approach reduces hospitalization and death by 85%, shown in excellent high quality studies.
So in addition to all of these medical interventions, the things that we used to do for other infections, wash our hands and that type of thing, now they have us masking up and using all these chemical hand sanitizers. Where does that play into this treatment?
Well, keep in mind, those things are to reduce the spread of illness. They're not treatment. So I think one of the problems with focusing too much on masks or washing hands is that they're not treatments. They don't help you when you're sick. So when patients are sick, our advice is most other people in the house get sick. About 85% of the time that's the case. The best thing to do is just open the windows, air out the house. I do recommend patients who are sick take a sterilizing shower every day with, like, let's say Dial soap or HibaCleanse solution. Should sterilize all the surfaces in the house and the cell phones and glasses about once a day. That's just to reduce the viral burden in the house. The house does become completely contaminated with the virus, and so the attempts to decontaminate are reasonable.
So does it make a difference then when you talked about the different treatments that you use, depending on age as well as what the underlying conditions were? Because it seems like that's where we're hearing the high death rates. It's the comorbidity piece. And so the treatment, does it vary a lot depending on what those underlying issues are?
Yes, we do step it up quite a bit. I have to tell you, I think the biggest decisions the doctor has to make is, do they use oral steroids and do they use serious blood thinners? So if a patient starts to have cough, difficulty breathing, or they have a prior history of asthma or emphysema, we know we're going to end up using steroids. If a patient has a prior history of stroke or a blood clot in their leg or atrial fibrillation, we know that we're going to be using blood thinners. Those are the two big decisions. Otherwise, it's not hard to prescribe these drugs. They're very available. Most of them are generic. Doctor can simply call them in by phone.
Can you tell me, I've heard a lot about, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, cytokine storms, and that a lot of people die because of that. Can you explain what that is?
Well, the virus, when it invades the body, it starts out like a cold, and then the virus rapidly replicates, and it enters the body through the nasopharyngeal tract and the lungs, and it quickly goes through the entire body. In fact, the virus goes into the GI tract 100% of the time. It can be recovered in the stool. Some of you may have seen the story on TV where sniffing dogs can sniff out somebody with COVID. That's because the virus gets in the stool and changes the microbiome, so it's quite interesting. But the point is that we can reduce this viral replication, but the virus quickly sets off the immune system into cytokine storms. So T cells and B cells start to produce proteins called cytokines, and those cytokines themselves are directly damaging. In fact, they damage the heart, they damage the brain, the kidneys, and the lungs. And so one of the ways we deal with cytokine storm is we use steroids, again, inhaled budesonide or oral dexamethasone or cortisone. And we also use this important drug called colchicine. So I hope all the listeners understand that it's likely that they're going to be on steroids transiently, just like they would with asthma, but it'd be unusual to do this in any other illness, but they're going to actually receive an older gout medicine called colchicine.
Hey, so then I had a question regarding, you had said there were over 500,000 deaths, but a lot of those had comorbidities. Is it safe to say they all died of COVID, or did they die of an underlying cause? You know, because that reflects in that number too, the death rate.
Well, we know each year that the leading causes of death are cancer and heart disease. They about 40% each, and then 20% other causes. So COVID stepping up and now being the leading cause of death in the United States, I have to think we have to take it on face value that even though they could have been older and had medical problems, that COVID, in fact, was the immediate driver of death.
Oh, okay. Because I did have a friend who was in stage 4 cancer in hospice, got COVID, and then they claimed his cause of death was COVID. And so that has been frustrating to us up here, you know, because was it really a COVID death or was it cancer?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think
yeah.
you've talked too about where do you think we are as a nation as far as herd immunity, even before the vaccinations started?
You got about 45 seconds for that answer.
Well, I testified in the Texas Senate. There's some standard formulae that we can apply from the Centers for Disease Control. Texas, for instance, is probably at about 80% herd immunity. Upper Midwest, you're probably at about 90% herd immunity.
Wow.
All right, when we come back, if you can stay with us one more segment, I'd like to talk a little bit about going forward and immunity and vaccinations and things like that. So we'll be right back again with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Indoor football is back in Bismarck. Bucks football season is right around the corner. Grab a friend or family member for a night of action-packed, hard-hitting entertainment. The Bucks open at the Bismarck Event Center May 8th as they take on the Massachusetts Pirates. Catch the sweetest seats in the house right on the sidelines with VIP service at a Bucks turf table. Available now for single-game purchases. Secure your tickets today by calling 701-595-0771. Bucks football, half the field and double the fun.
At Beck Communications, we've been planning for your future. Over the past decade, we've placed nearly 200,000 miles of dedicated fiber optics in the ground. Enough fiber optic strands to circle the world 8 times. Taking no shortcuts, we connected every home and business in our service area with dedicated fiber optics. It's your personal, unrestricted, unthrottled connection to the world. Best of all, this dedicated fiber means you do not share your connection. We call this intimate dedicated connection Beck Fiber.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream sheets. When you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Ever been in a cave before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the car!
How will we?
The car! Your offer's been accepted. Ever bought a house before?
It's our first time.
All right.
Where are you going?
I'll see you at the closing.
But how will we?
The closing!
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck, and we are once again joined by Dr. Peter McCullough. I so appreciate you coming here because you've written probably one of the top writers on treating COVID in the country, maybe in the world. And he is an instructor of medicine at Texas A&M, and your specialty is heart and kidneys. And in this segment, I really want to talk about what got my attention when I saw you testifying before the Senate subcommittee. You said that when people have had COVID, that's the best immunity you can have, and you should not get the vaccination, right?
Right. I mean, you know, originally I think people were concerned that you could just get COVID over and over and over again. And fortunately, we haven't seen that. The listeners would recognize that all their friends and family who've gotten COVID are serious cases. It's basically a one-time illness. And there's fewer than 100 cases in the medical literature where doctors think the patient has gotten it twice. I've looked at those cases carefully. I don't think there's a single bona fide case of a recurrent infection. So fundamentally, once one has COVID, the immunity is at least, durable to a year. We know from the SARS-CoV-1 virus that we know, which is about 80% similar to this virus, that the immunity is durable to about 17 years. So I think for the COVID recovered patients, you can rest assured that you're not going to get the infection again. I'm very confident of that.
But you mentioned that you could actually be injured by getting the vaccine if you are COVID recovered. Can you touch on that, please?
Well, keep in mind, the vaccine has been a terrific accomplishment of Operation Warp Speed in the federal government. And I think Americans were really thirsting to have a vaccine. And I think if appropriately applied, is going to have some public health impact. Keep in mind the clinical trials strictly excluded COVID recovered patients, patients who had suspected COVID, childbearing women, and pregnant women. And they mainly did that because, particularly in COVID recovered patients, because the FDA and the sponsors, Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J, they knew there was no opportunity for benefit and only an opportunity of harm to vaccinate someone who didn't need the vaccine. And we saw the first reports of this out of the Manchester, United Kingdom, where about 25% of people had gotten vaccinated, in fact, had COVID-19. And they had double or triple the rates of serious safety events like vaccine reactions or even need to be hospitalized. So just keep that in mind, that the vaccine is probably very appropriate for a select group of patients where they're at risk for hospitalization and death, and they have high contact with others. And in fact, the vaccine should have benefit there.
So can you explain to our viewers, you said that the upper Midwest probably had somewhere nearing 90% herd immunity. Does a virus like this, can we ever get to 100%? I mean, when is it that we no longer have to be vaccinated? We no longer have to follow these protocols?
Well, keep in mind the estimates of herd immunity are before vaccination. So if you're at 90% before a vaccination, then it just means the virus can't spread around that much. I mean, 10% of your state is still a large number of individuals, and you certainly wouldn't want all 10% to get it. So there's always going to be a risk population. But we shouldn't see any more large waves unless we have large numbers of people vaccinated, and then we start to have breakthrough cases through the vaccine. So we just saw yesterday reports from Washington State and from Idaho that in fact fully vaccinated patients are getting COVID-19 because some people may have a sense of false reassurance that the vaccine's 100% protective, and it's not. So in fact, there will be breakthrough cases.
One of the things I heard you say in your testimony is that the best protection is if you've already had the disease itself. That's going to be your strongest protection in terms of producing antibodies. But I'm not, and so this is kind of getting back to that topic, but I'm not hearing anybody talking about that we're okay if you've had COVID, and I know you've already had COVID, that we are not a threat, we're not a risk, and I'm just hearing everybody talking about fully vaccinated people can do this or can do that. But what about us? What about the people that have had COVID? Shouldn't we be able to be free to move about?
Well, here's the difficulty is you had COVID, you know you've had COVID, you've had your positive test result, and you've had the clinical syndrome. The problem is other people don't know you've had COVID. So, out of courtesy, I wear a mask and I follow the CDC guidelines, and I imagine you do as well. It's because other people don't know. I know for myself, though, that in fact I'm confident I can't acquire the infection. I don't go shopping or go to a restaurant in fear. Now, a patient who's COVID naive, in fact, may have justified fears that they could get the virus. COVID recovered patients can't get it a second time.
What about, there's been talk about having COVID passports and only people that have had the vaccinations can receive those. Are you concerned about that at all?
Well, there's a principle of medical ethics called the principle of autonomy. And that principle says that the individual has the right to say what happens to your body. That's a principle of medical ethics. Now, you can get advice from doctors and other providers, But in the end, you can't be coerced or forced into something being done to your body that you don't want to have happen. And so that principle of autonomy is absolute. It cannot be violated. So if a vaccine passport then provides a pressure or is coercive to have somebody get the vaccine and they really don't want to have it, a vaccine passport violates what's considered a principle of medical ethics. So I think it's deeply concerning.
Yes, it is. And you know, I wanted to back up a little bit. When you talked about early treatment, I believe I heard you say in your testimony that you're seeing an 85% recovery rate in the patients that get that early treatment instead of just waiting for it to progress and wind up in the hospital. Am I accurate on that?
Right. So Dr. Vladimir Zelenko in New York City and Brian Proctor in the Dallas-Fort Worth area have both demonstrated that there's an 85% risk reduction in hospitalization and death with early treatment compared to expected rates. So we do know, based on age and medical problems, we do know with great precision what the risk of hospitalization and death is. So the impact of early treatment, multiple drugs, as we'd expect, has a big impact because we know individually the drugs, at least there's pretty strong signals of benefit for all of them. So you put it all together, it makes sense, about an 85% reduction.
Okay, so I have a question regarding pregnancy. Some people that are pregnant are getting the vaccine, and I've heard that's not good for them. Then also, if you could touch on infertility, that there were some studies done that there was some infertility problems. Can you touch on both of those subjects?
Well, the FDA, and again, the sponsors, Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J so far, they strictly excluded pregnant patients from the clinical trials, and they excluded them because it's typical to do that based on safety concerns. We can't know what's going to happen to the mother and the fetus. And in one of the clinical trials program, by accident, 8 women became pregnant during the clinical trial, and it turns out 4 of them had miscarriages or lost the baby. So that's a pretty strong signal right there that pregnant women ought to, in my view, steer clear of the vaccine. The FDA and the sponsors didn't think pregnant women should get it. And I know right now it's a voluntary decision. You know, anybody can go up to a vaccine center and get a vaccination, so women have to make their own choice.
And what about children? You know, we've seen different studies reports that they're trying to encourage vaccination for kids as young as 5 years old. I thought they were at the lowest risk group.
Right, so children, it's like a mild cold, and there have been no major school outbreaks, and the risks are extraordinarily low. So unless the child has cystic fibrosis or some condition like that, again, the doctor decides on who receives treatment. Otherwise, children need no treatment, and that the FDA and the sponsors drew the line 16 or 18 years old. And so below that line, children shouldn't be vaccinated.
In about 30 seconds, can you tell us if somebody, because not all doctors recognize treatment, if somebody wants to be treated and their doctor doesn't prescribe anything, what should they do?
The national resource is the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, AAPSonline.org. Download the home treatment guide, review the drugs and nutraceuticals, and then in the back of the guide are the telemedicine services that are available 24/7. They can use national pharmacies, and they can get mail order pharmacies. They can get the medications there same day or next day. So we have a pretty good early treatment safety net in the United States.
Well, wonderful. Dr. McCullough, I want to thank you again so much that you were on our show today to take the time and spread the good information here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll cheer for your team.
Yes, we will. Good luck in basketball.
Go
So we'll be
Bears.
right back with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Today's households have more digital devices than ever before. More links to family, business, education, and entertainment. Beck Communications spent over 10 years building North Dakota's fastest fiber optic internet service. Beck Lightband Internet, outpacing speeds in large cities nationwide. Lightband Internet handles all your digital needs without throttling your connection to the world. Beck Communications, valuable digital connections in rural North Dakota.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience. with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve. Through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. My Giza sheets also include full 21-inch wide pillowcases that will fit over any pillow and deep pocket sheets that will fit over any mattress. The first night you sleep on my sheets, you'll never want to sleep on anything else.
Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen right now to get your very own MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Giza Dream Sheets are available in a variety of colors. Use your promo code, and for a limited time, when you buy one set of sheets, you'll get another set absolutely free.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. And we're going to move on now to talk again about last week's press conference or news conference with Biden. I want to take another look at it, but I want to look at it through the eyes of J.P. Sears. He has some good advice for Biden.
Good advice, a little cynical, but we all need it because he brings reality to...
JP brings comic relief to this whole thing.
Yeah, he sure does. He's just
breath
amazing.
of fresh air.
Yeah.
Let's take a peek.
So let's see if we can find any areas with room for improvement. In this clip, you'll see the president openly and honestly expressing his own thoughts from note cards.
We have somewhere, I asked the staff to write it down for me, and they did, not for this, but for a longer discussion. We have somewhere...
Note for improvement. Instead of using note cards and cheat sheets to try to convey the image of a functioning mind, just use a teleprompter. Now you might be saying, teleprompter? Those are for pre-written speeches, not press conferences with unknown questions and off-the-cuff answers. Why don't we just call this what it is and use a teleprompter? That's my professional advice.
Okay, hang on. Sorry. Oh, Singman, Miss Kim. Okay, how about Yamish?
That kind of makes it look like he's looking for who you instructed him to call on in his notebook. So I'd probably get rid of the notebook.
Perception of you that got you elected as a moral, decent man is the reason why a lot of immigrants are coming to this country and entrusting you with unaccompanied minors.
Now here, I think you went a little overboard, guys. Starting to sound like we're worshiping a dictator. Normally when presidents are facing heat, such as Biden is for the crisis he created at the border, they're asked tough questions, not softball questions lobbed up, padded with compliments. People in the public with access to their own thinking might think it's just disingenuous propaganda. So with the reporters that you instruct Joe to call on with your notebook, maybe tell them they don't need the compliments and the questions. I mean, everybody already thinks so highly of the guy as it is. Now with old Hunter, got your hands full there, don't you? Well, with his laptop and all the evidence that implicates Joe, and Hunter's gun and potentially Joe's Secret Service cover-up detail. My advice? Keep pretending these issues don't exist. The American public doesn't remember any of this when you don't talk about it. So don't change a thing you're doing here.
I am a fan and a purveyor of sarcasm, and I love this dude.
Oh, he's amazing.
Exactly.
JP for president.
Yeah, I'll take
And
it.
we just scratched the surface too. He talked about a lot of other things, and just using satire, he really hit the nail on the head.
He does.
He's done that through a lot of the stuff that's gone on in the last year that have really made me chuckle.
Oh, during the debates, he was just a gem.
Yeah.
He had it down fast.
Yeah.
John, just terribly accurate. He makes the obscene and the ridiculous kind of tolerable.
Right.
And you know, he's been in Facebook jail before. He did a bit on that before.
Haven't
So-
we all? Come on.
Yes. Guilty, especially ladies of another view. We have a Facebook
Guilty.
page. Come and see us. Yeah, and we've been shadow banned, so you have to come on your own maybe and see us until we get out of jail. But what I think is so clever is he's using satire, but I don't think he's going to be under their radar because of that. He's complimenting Biden, he's giving advice to their team, and he's making a point in the process. I'm going to put the whole video up on our Facebook page. It's 12 minutes long, and I think you'll love it. It's very funny, very clever. That when he was shuffling through to who to call on, he did that over and over and over. And at a press conference, you usually look out into the sea of reporters and you call on someone.
Right.
And so you realize, wait a minute, this is all pre-planned.
Well, let's face it, note cards at a press conference and it's spur of the moment questions? I don't think so.
None of it
I
adds
mean,
up.
obviously, like he said, get a teleprompter.
Yeah.
You know, it's like get a room. Oh no, get a teleprompter. You know,
He was
I mean,
reading the answers.
obviously it was all staged.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know,
obviously.
And when I think of J.P. Morgan, first of all, he is hilarious. But we all sit here, it's like, oh my gosh, doesn't anybody get it? Doesn't anybody get it? So he kind of brings a lightness to this horrible time that we're going through with politics. And he hits the nail on the head. He says what we're all thinking. And so that we know that, you know, there's some normalcy out there, that not everybody thinks that way. And in fact, it's less than 10% of the people. So we got to go. I just love him.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, when he brought up Hunter, and I don't know if any of you have seen the USA Today article on Hunter. His new book is coming out April 6th, you know.
Oh,
And they couldn't have kissed Hunter Biden anymore if they had tried through that whole article. And Hunter's just a victim. He didn't do anything wrong.
Oh my gosh.
He was, you know, he was on cocaine. He said he was smoking coke every 15 minutes, and he was just, you know, had such a tough go of it. And now he's got a new wife, and you might be a little shocked at his, you know, what would be the word? Loving of his dead brother's wife, but you know, you'll get past that and you'll just understand, you know, he's just a stand-up kind of guy, you know, and forget about the laptop with all the porn and all the stuff and all, I mean, forget it. It's just not, it's okay. Hunter's just a good guy. I couldn't help but think, if that was Donald Trump Jr., I
Oh my
want to
gosh.
know what that article would look like with real evidence of real lifestyle, of real perpetration of whatever was perped. I would like to know what that article would look like.
there would be
evil
no
doesn't
redemption.
even bother hiding anymore. The
I
press
know.
is totally complicit in propagating all of this. And
Yeah.
that's why we need to do things differently here.
That's why we need JP Sears.
Yeah.
Just so
Need
I
to
That's
show
why you
up.
need Beck TV. I mean,
Yes.
honestly, it's just great that so many people can come to Beck to get a conservative voice.
And speaking of the press, what would they have done if Trump had a German Shepherd in the White House that 3 times bit people?
Can I just say this? I am a former insurance adjuster. And so I have seen the worst of the worst kind of dog bites. It's horrible. And most states, and in fact, they did bring it up yesterday in DC, they say 1 free bite. Once you know that dog has a vicious propensity, you have to get rid of the dog or we can no longer insure you. So here's the President of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. He has a dog that bites not once, not twice, but 3 times now. And it's like, oh, well, you know, it was okay, didn't break the skin. But they received medical treatment.
yeah.
So how does that happen? I'm serious.
Obviously, someone provoked the dog 3 times.
Well, and it's
to be.
ridiculous.
I mean,
and a
it had
German
to be.
Shepherd. And then I wondered if it
Yes.
was maybe one of those dogs that, a comfort dog, the trained medical
Therapy dog?
a therapy dog, and maybe, you know, that dog was trying to protect the president. I don't know that. They're not going to say that, but it's possible
Well-
because those dogs are trained to protect that person.
You know, there's the new headline now where the dog poo-pooed on the
Yeah.
White
Oh,
House
they didn't-
floor.
they didn't know
and it
it
was
was
a
a
big
dog.
news story. It's
Why?
like, I mean, really? You know, China and Russia's lining up on their borders to go to war with, I mean, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's major news coming out of your capital in Washington, D.C. Someone's dog crapped on the floor.
And yes,
Yeah.
Big
in a
news.
friendly way. In a friendly way.
In a
They're
friendly way.
Sure. Isn't that cute?
I don't want the job to clean up.
Thank
though.
God we're not bitter.
Not at all.
No, we're not.
Hey,
We're
we
just,
got Easter coming up, right?
we
So we're
do.
gonna-
We do
we're
right around the
going
corner.
to-
It's Holy Thursday today. So, yeah, we're looking forward to Easter, Good Friday. Are you having company over or?
I'm going out of town and get to see my kids. Well, 3 of the 5 will be together and the grandkids, and it'll be great because we haven't seen each other for many, many months now. So.
Well, I
that'll be
know
fun.
it's Holy Thursday, but it's also a Health and Freedom Gala tonight at the Heritage Center, starting at 6 p.m. There will be a light lunch type dinner. You can hear some very intelligent speakers. They are very well qualified. We had one of them on our show this week, and we are looking forward to everybody coming with their questions for these folks.
Right, they're experts on respiratory protection. They're OSHA trained, and so I would encourage, you know, even if you, whatever you think, whatever side you stand on, just come, ask your questions, challenge them. You know, that's what this is all about.
Pro or con.
Okay, so we're going to move into the lighter side when we come back, right after this, with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Respect, innovation, trust, and excellence. These core values can be seen in every building built by Straightway Construction. In the community for over 15 years, Straightway Construction has become the premier construction company for commercial projects. From dirt to design and framing to finish, Straightway Construction is your #1 choice. You won't have to look far to find a project that has that Straightway touch. Call them today or go online to straightwayconstruction.com and let them make your vision a reality.
Deciding how to promote your business can be hard. Visit the professionals at Dakota Promotions and Printing and let them help you through your struggle. Dakota Promotions provides promotional items and apparel from corporate gifts to team shirts and everything in between. With quick turnaround times and friendly service, they are your best choice. And best yet, you're shopping local. Visit them online at dakotapromo.com or stop in their showroom at 320 West Main in Mandan. Dakota Promotions, delivering promotions just for you.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with 1 truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Indoor football is back in Bismarck. Bucks football season is right around the corner. Grab a friend or family member for a night of action-packed, hard-hitting entertainment. The Bucks open at the Bismarck Event Center May 8th as they take on the Massachusetts Pirates. Catch the sweetest seats in the house right on the sidelines with VIP service at a Bucks turf table. Available now for single game purchases. Secure your tickets today by calling 701-595-0771. Bucks football, half the field and double the fun.
Beck Communications is hiring. Beck Communications is seeking qualified candidates for plant technicians in our Wheatland, North Dakota location. Beck Communications is an equal opportunity employer. To view the job details, visit www.beck.coop. To apply, email your cover letter and resume to careers@bechtel.coop. Beck Communications, making connections that matter.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. You know, with all this talk of having a recall of Governor Newsom in California, I wanted to get the opinion of a former governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And we're starting to get known and get a hold of people. He was busy though, but he did send this message for us.
First of all, thank you for letting me on, Ladies of Another View on Beck. I have to make this short, ladies, but as you know, I'll be back on your show again. You, Ladies of Another View on Beck, are hot, really hot. You speak the truth. I wanted to let off some steam on your show and pump you up. As I announced to that hothead, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, it's hasta la vista baby time. As you Ladies of Another View on Beck know, there is a recall effort underway by Governor Newsom. Let me tell you, ladies, I'm going to terminate that crazy California governor. Just like I once said in my movie, Conan.
What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
That's right. And one more thing before I get on this plane. Stay free, America. Recall the governor of California. And just for your ladies, not only will I be back, I'm announcing I'm going to run again. That's right, I'm going to run again.
I'll be back. Hasta la vista, baby.
So now I must get back on my plane. Goodbye to Ladies of Another View. I'm back. Bye.
Holy.
Well, you heard it here.
Well, if he's going to get rid of Newsom, that can't be a bad thing.
Well, I'd vote for that.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great announcement to start April 1st off, don't you think?
I would think so.
It is April 1st, isn't it? Kind of funny how he might announce something like that on April 1st.
Perfect day.
Are you kidding me?
This whole day has been April 1st.
Yeah, speaking of, do you guys ever do April Fool's jokes? Go ahead.
Think, well, we have to help our viewers, right?
We
April
might.
Fools.
Yeah,
okay?
just in
It's
case.
not real.
Just in case.
Just in case. But yeah, that was, it's cute, but yes.
Yeah.
That was Patty's husband helped us with that. So
When he was on radio, every April 1st, he had to do some kind of prank. And my favorite one that he did when he was on K-Fire with the Phil and Mark show was they got a gas station to go along with this and say that you could come in for free helium fill-ups in your tires and you would get better gas mileage that way. And because it was a live call-in show, there were so many people calling and playing along, saying, oh yeah, but I had trouble because I had a small compact car and it started to float a little bit. And they would play along, but inevitably there would be people that believed it and show up at the gas station to get their helium.
And then they'd be disappointed when they didn't have a fill-up station for the helium. Oh my goodness.
So what the owner did, he gave out free car washes because he felt so bad. All the people that came to get their helium in their tires.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I started my day helping out a couple of the grandkids, and my 8-year-old granddaughter said, Grandma, it's April Fool's Day. And so I thought she was going to pull something, but she was nice. It was just...
It's early yet.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
early
it's
yet.
true. That's
The day's
true.
not
Yeah.
over.
That's true. Yeah.
Mark and I used to get each other every year, but I think we're past that. It was getting a little exhausting there, yeah, playing tricks on one another.
You know, I ran to the Capitol this morning to listen to the hearing and to share it with everybody live on Facebook. Didn't have the best experience while I was there. They asked me to leave. But the event that's taking place at the Heritage Center tonight, I think it's super important that all of you can tune in. It will be streamed live on Facebook by a number of different people. If you can't catch it live, you know, look it up and catch it later, because these experts on on everything respiratory from OSHA. We'll be there to answer questions for people that are very pro-mask and people that are very anti-mask. And they want to make sure that you have all of the real, truthful information on it. These are trainers of the trainers at OSHA. And these women are delightful. They've given their own time. They have, pulled themselves away from their families, and they are not compensated for this. They just want to make sure that we all have the honest truth.
Right, and they testified this morning.
They did.
And they did a wonderful job. They really did.
And it's like, and we understand that, you, as our viewers, some of you are for the mask, some of you are against the mask, some are for the vaccine, some are against the vaccine. What we like to do is just provide the information to make the correct choice, because as you just heard that last doctor, he said once you have had COVID, you should not need to wear a mask because you will never spread it. You should not need a vaccine. In fact, the vaccines are going to harm you if you've had COVID. And so this is the information that mainstream media is not giving you, but you can get it here. But just take the information and make your choice based on what's right for you. But don't let the government force you into something that isn't right for you. And that's what we're here for. We're not here to judge. You want the vaccine, boom, you go get the vaccine. You want to wear a mask, get the mask. But for those that don't want the vaccine or the mask, they deserve the right to deny that. Yes. So that's all I wanted to say.
Amen. Go Mary.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. And I'll just put something out there that I did this morning with the grandkids. How many of us actually ask our grandkids or our young kids, why do we celebrate Easter? And just see what kind of answers you get, and if you want that to be the answer of your kids or you want them to know a little more.
Right. And then you can write us at beck.news. Take a look at us. Come to our Facebook page and tell us the kind of answers you got. But thank you for joining us.
Yep. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Hop, hop, hop. Hop, hop.
God bless. So goodbye from Ladies of Another View on Beck.
And God bless you all.